I have dedicated my professional career to the study and control of arthropods.
Okay, welcome to part two. I'm not sure how many parts I'm going to go on this. When I get tired of it, I suppose is when I'll stop. I want to. Okay, now I did the last video. I talked about Washington State and the Bolt decision, and how kind of profoundly important that is in shaping, attitudes people have today about natives there. And I want to try to put it because this is an argument I hear quite a bit. Again, I discussed this issue. I mean, anybody that knows me in real life, they know what things not to get me started on, and this is one of them. But when a lot of native people have certain things that they're given, free health care, for example, free dental, free health care, a lot of times dividends and or some kind of monetary supplements either from the government or from tribal agencies or corporations. And this is looked on by a lot of people as a gift that's given to these like they're getting something for nothing is sort of the way it's looked at. The same thing with the Bolt decision in Washington. When people see, there's a lot of people I know personally who talk about damaging and or vandalizing native fishing nets, for example, when they see them. Things like that, protecting their resource from those Indians. That's kind of the way it's looked on. And it's like they have longer hunting seasons and longer fishing seasons than we do. That's not fair. And but the problem with that, the flaw with that logic is with any of these issues, any of the things that natives are given, is that it's wrong to think of them as a gift. Okay, they're not freebies. That's the thing that people can't seem to comprehend. And I'm trying to a way I like to try to explain it to people. I get into this a lot with the Bolt decision, and trying to explain it to people is, people want to think of it as if, wow, we were terrible to those Indians back then. Let's be nice and give them something. Let's give them something nice. Let's give them this. Let's give them some money every year, or let's give them free health care, or pay for their college, or whatever. That would be swell of us. That's the way people think that the decisions are being made. I guess maybe that's an oversimplification, but the reality is that that's not what these things are about. These gifts were paid for heavily. They were paid for in land. They were paid for in blood. They are an inheritance. That's what these things are from. These are an inheritance. These were a trade. Washington State, again, back to the Bolt decision. A huge amount of territory, a huge amount of land. If any of you are from Washington or have family in Washington that own property in Washington, that property that you or your family owns was given, in essence, to Washington State, to the federal government, in exchange for these fishing rights. So whatever that land is worth to your family, just imagine, picture you have that land, or your family has that land because 4 or 5 generations ago, tribal chiefs, tribal elders got together at a council and gave it to the U.S. government in exchange for what seemed like a pittance at the time. And that's the way almost all of these things are. All of these issues with natives that are. I mean, you look at where they live on the reservations, and then you look at the vast area around it where they used to traditionally live. Anyway, that's this kind of way to think about it. Really think about these things as inheritances. And the reality is, this. I mean, I remember hearing everybody. Oh God, people were just pissing and moaning here. When I can't remember which of I don't know if it was Gold Belt, one of the tribal corporations here in Alaska, the ANCSA corporations, Alaskan Native Claims Settlement Act. People were, because they all got, every single tribal member got a check from the tribal corporation for $16,000. It was this huge dividend. It was like an unheard ofly large dividend. And people I knew were all like, "It's so unfair. What the hell?" Just complaining about they're just going to go drink it away, and everybody was mad and upset that these undeserving loafers were just given all this money for free. And infuriated me, this attitude. Because, if you're aware, Alaska is a big state. I mean, it's a huge state. It is monstrous, and it's monstrously wealthy in resources: fishing, timber, minerals, oil, all of that. And these tribal organizations, these tribal corporations, had portions of that divided up amongst them, while the rest of it went, well, to the government. You sort of see that. I mean, so $16,000, wow, that's a lot of money, but what percentage of the billions of dollars in oil money is that? What percentage of that do you think that 16,000 for a few hundred people really adds up to? You sort of see what I'm going with this? It's a pittance, and it certainly isn't enough to survive all year. 16,000 isn't going to get you through many months here of paying rent or anything else. So, anyway, that aside, sorry, I'm starting to ramble on here. I always do. So that's something that I think people I want to sort of get across, and it makes me mad. And when you look at, if you've ever been to reservations, especially ones out in the West, we make it a point whenever we're traveling to stop at as many reservations as we can. It's an eye opener. We went to Pine Ridge in 2000 when the American Indian Movement had retaken the visitor center at Wounded Knee, and so we went back to lend to donate to the cause, and to see that reservation, to see. I was in Nicaragua in 1987, okay, at the height of this, Sandinista Contra issue, and people in those villages, people with bomb craters in the center of their town, or burned out buildings, still lived better than the people in Pine Ridge in our own nation, in our own country. Still had better quality of life, cleaner housing. It was an outrage. It's an outrage that it's there and it's not being discussed. People are. It's people. They call it the fourth world, and it truly is the fourth world, and it's in our own country. And you see these reservations all over the place. If you go especially like I said, the West, a lot of the East Coast reservations have had a lot longer. I don't know what the difference is. At least the ones that I've seen are a lot nicer. But I don't want to. I'm not. I haven't seen many of those, but I know for the Lakota, the Cheyenne. And then on the West Coast, the Salish, the coastal Salish and Nootka. These reservations are pits. They're hellholes. They're small. They're crowded. They're usually. It's just there's a whole bunch of issues with it, and it has to do with poverty. So this great, wonderful gift that they're given certainly isn't paying it off in quality of life. So anyway, something to keep in mind. So anyway, let's see. I don't know how much more I have to say about this. I have a couple. Yeah, screw it. I'll make another video about it. I can talk about this for hours. I will see you in the next video. Or you'll see me in the next video.